Hey YouTube, welcome back to TCG, and today we are rounding out the leader breakdown so far as we know them with Green Goku. I saved this one for last because it and Gogeta were the ones that I was really hoping I saw something new from, and as it stands, both of those are kind of the ones where I'm like, are we really switching leaders? Unless, like something like Androids 4 is banned. But the point is, we got a lot of cards to go over today, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the breakdown. So as per usual, if you like the content, like the video, and if you love the content, maybe even subscribe. But if you really want to give this brand a little boost, go over to Universe X and check out some videos over there, like my Daima episode 13 breakdown that should be up within a couple hours. And then on top of that, subscribe, because we are this close to 1,000. I would love to break that milestone. So with that out of the way, let's get into it. So the first step is going over this leader. We basically have the Sun Goku leader. The Kaioken art is amazing. I can't wait to see what it looks like in its alt art form. When attacking, draw one card and activate main/battle if the conditions are met. If your life is at 3 or less, draw one card and then flip this card over. So yeah, that's pretty cool. The other thing that you go over into, besides him not being able to draw or untap anything on Awakening, which is kind of rough, is this leader permanent. Your turn, this card gets plus 10k power, making him a 30k swinger on your offensive turn. Then end of turn, discard one card from your hand. If your life is at 2 or less and you have 7 or less energy, add the top card of your deck to your life. Now, this is going to be where we have quite a bit of cool effects that we can use. Getting him down, like you're gonna see going over this this video, that getting him down to like 1 life essentially during your turn is gonna be the sticky spot, like the spot where you want to, actually more like the sweet spot where you want to get him down to 1 life and then use the effect at the end of your turn. This is a little bit intense on the hand because you do not have the ability to draw on swing, so you are yet another leader that's just drawing specifically for turn, and whatever cards that you can get, from your from the top of your deck, or that you built in for draw. So the cards we have so far, of course, this is a leader that you're going to want to awaken with fairly soon, but we have the SR Krillin. He's a 2-cost 20k with 5k combo power. On play, add up to 1 card from your life to your hand, and when KO'd, add up to 1 card from your hand to your energy in rest mode. So he's really, really cool. Early game, he's going to be able to harass. I will say that this guy, against green, cool. Yellow, cool. Black, probably cool. Blue and red, like blue, most certainly not. Red, okay. You guys know how it is when you have on KO effects. They vary from color to color, but this guy seems a little unreliable. Will we use him? We'll see, but he definitely seems a little unreliable for his on KO effect, but at the very minimum, he's a 2-cost self-awakener that can go sideways, and you know how rare that is in green specific. Now the next card we have is Sun Gohan Youth. He's a 3-drop 20k, and on play you choose, if your life is at 2 or less, choose up to 1 battle card in your opponent's battle here, a KO it. Yes, and then or you can add 1 card from your life to your hand, then choose up to 1 battle card at the cost of 3 or less in your opponent's battle here and KO it. This is going to be a green staple. This card is busted. This is crazy. In a Goku deck, you're going to spend a lot of your turns at 2 life, only to go up to 3 at the end, and this is going to just come down, blow up something for 3. Being able to blow up anything for free, or for 3, is actually really, really, really crazy and a lot of value. Doesn't have a lot of power, but we can get around that for being able to destroy anything that doesn't have barrier or a KO prevention effect for just 3. This is a wonderful card. Not much else to really say about that. And then we have the secret rare. Now this secret rare is pretty savage. 7 cost, 45k power. It's a double striker, and then it's permanent. Just says if your life is at 2 or less and you don't have a Sun Goku with a cost of 7 in your battle area, reduce the cost of this card in your hand by 4, making him a double striker, 45k double striker for 3. But then, once he hits the board, he is actually going to turn back into a 7 cost, ditching the threshold for a lot of the destruction that, removal that blue will have, that black will have, and sometimes green will be under. So you can kind of see that you want to awaken fast, and then you want to stay at 2 life throughout your entire turn, then ditch a card to go back up to 3. But we have a couple of other things here. So actually getting into the set, we do have Murray, and Murray is just a Namekian blocker. but he's a 1 cost that's going to bring one card from your life to your hand. So yes, green is getting a 1 cost Self Awakener. It has taken 5 sets, but we are here, and it's going to be a 10k combo power. So this card won't be dead later. Won't be dead later in the game. You do automatically have to add that card, and that's actually pretty cool. If you go into your turn at 3 life, this is a card you can have in hand just to play for 1, take a life, and then start popping off, and then you can combo it or keep it on the field if it's going to be something like that in your matchup. So this is going to be pretty cool. It is nice. I do think that it is filling in a very tight niche that green really can use. Now the next card we have here is the Son Goku. He is just a 3 cost, 20k power, 10k combo power. Permanent, your turn. If your life is at 2 or less, this card in the battle area gains plus 15k. And then on play, you can add 1 card from your life to your hand. So we've got a lot of Self Awakeners in this deck. There's just a whole bunch of Self Awakeners. Now there is another card. This card is actually it's currently the winners card, the Nationals card. For what's it called? It's in the Nationals prizing. There was the Son Goku. I think it might be Worlds prizing actually. The Son Goku, but it's a 3 cost 25k attacker with 5k combo power. It says when attacking once per turn, if your life is at 3 or more, add a life to hand. And then you can, if your leader is Son Goku, you can switch this card. You can switch this card to active. So basically, he's gonna help you Self Awaken, and he's gonna get some really good damage in. And that's actually just really nasty. So we have some cards that we are bouncing off of, and then we're going to go into the extra cards. First, you have Dr. Reese Spaceship. It's just straight up 1 cost. If your life is at 2 or less, draw 2 cards. That's going to be a great little source of draw power. Some people are very back and forth on whether this card should be played, but this card is essentially a pot of greed, and you're going to need a draw power in this deck. Yes, it is a +1. You activate the card, you ditch a card from hand, you draw 2, so it's a +1, but you will need that card advantage. Next card we have is Full Power. It is a 2 cost. Active main, if your life is at 2 or less, choose up to 2 battle cards which cost are 4 or less in your opponent's battle area and KO them. This is insane, and this is going to keep a lot of pressure off your back. This deck is going to want to go down on life so fast. But yeah, there's just so many cards that specifically need you to be at 2 life that you're going to want to awaken super fast. Then you have this next card, Training at 100 Gs, and this is just a 3 cost, activate main, draw 1 card, then add 1 card from your life to your hand. So this is a +2. Then if your life is at 2 or less, play up to 1 Son Goku with a cost of 3 or less from your hand. So that can be either the 2 Son Gokus we talked about, but because your secret rare is going to be a 3 cost in hand, you will be able to use this card, pay 3 to draw a card, take a life, and then play out your secret rare, which is going to be another huge play. This deck is actually looking more and more interesting the more cards we get, and it's going to be the one that one of the ones I want to test with. So far, every leader in this set but Gogeta is actually quite interesting in terms of, let me get up in this and like see what the deck can do, but I'm excited. Next we have this 5 cost Unlock ability, and this just activate main, choose up to 1 battle card in your battle area, it gains plus 15k power for the turn. Then if your life is at 1, add the top 2 cards of your deck to your life. Now I don't know about this one. 5 seems to be a little bit of a reach, and I think there's much better ways that we can use our 7 energy in a turn to get back up to the threshold of life. And this is going to get you above 3 life, or get you to 3 life, or above 3 life. Well, I guess your life has to be at 1, so it's just going to get you to 3 life, and your leader effect won't activate unless you go around it. But I do think that we're in a position where I don't really like the idea of having to be at 1 life to use a card. The 2 life threshold, that's manageable. The 1 life threshold, not so much. You can always play a Self Awakener and then a card that requires you to have 2 life, but this is just a little bit too narrow for me. Now we're going to move on to cards that already exist that I think are going to go a little brazy in this deck. Nappa is probably going to go hard. Playing a 30k that's going to ramp you and then take a life out, yeah. And the fact of the matter is, because you're healing so often, Nappa is almost always going to be live. There are going to be so many turns where, okay, you go into your turn with 3 life, so what are you going to start off by doing? Tapping 3, playing Nappa, and then opening up the rest of your turn. And I think that that's actually really cool, especially if you use certain cards that I'm going to get to later to manage your energy in a certain way. But I do think that Nappa will be stronger than ever in this Goku deck. Next card I'm going to have here is Heal Han. You guys may remember this guy from set 1, and he's been making some waves in the Android decks, but the ability to be at 1 life, tap 6, go into Sun Gohan Childhood, this one to go up 1 life and add a 35k to your board, and then play something like Dr. Reese Spaceship to draw 2 cards, get an attack in with your 30k leader, get an attack in with this 35k and whatever else is on your board, and then just discard a card at the end of turn and go up to 3 life. And now you have a sizable board, you have 3 life, and that's actually going to be really nice. So I think that Healhorn has to be tested, but I think he may have a little bit of wiggle room to find his way into this deck. The next card I was going to talk about is Sun Gohan Childhood. And I think Sun Gohan Childhood is just pretty nice. He does take up most of your available energy, but 7 is still a number where you can stay under while actually, you know, being able to cast this card. So I do think that we are looking at potentially with the format, if there's enough bodies that this can hit, this could be a card that we end up putting in. It's a Saiyan, and that'll probably come into play with some other things. But yeah, he is a Saiyan, and on top of being a Saiyan, he's going to be able to come down and at least keep the board manageable if you need to get rid of a lot of low threats. But this guy will be format dependent. The format will need to cater to him in order to run. So yeah, this is just something you put on the back burner and kind of think about later. A constant favorite of many decks that have employed the green color is this future Gohan. We have to see the rest of the rares, uncommons, and commons, and then see if the format permits it. But there's a lot of good 3 cost or less green cards that we can use, and there's just a lot of cards that once we put this guy on the board, he can cheat out and then protect. Imagine just having this guy out on 5 and then playing your Gohan, and your Gohan just smokes something off the board because you're at the correct life, and then you get to protect it from effects until this guy's gone. So this guy probably will have some value. He can also, because he's playing out battle cards the cost of 3 or less, he could, if you wanted to, play out your secret rare, if I'm not mistaken. However, you don't really get the protection because he turns into a 7, so he's a little vulnerable. But there's a lot of good cards I think this guy can actually play out. And so because of this, yeah, I think we're in the money for this card being looked at when it comes to this deck. Now, here's another thing. A lot of people are already like, okay, so we're going to have to stay at 7. But I do think there's also room to theory craft for decks that could go above 7, but then actually just go down on energy. Like, if you have more than enough HP, like more than enough life to just live, right? There's no reason why you can't just push pressure and then go, oh, you know what I'm going to do now that I've taken a heavy turn of life? I'm going to charge to 10 or charge to 8, and I'm just going to be like, okay, go and sell, and I'm going to go -3 on energy, pop 2 things, get a life back, and then at the end of the turn I can still discard 1 card to get a life back, or to get a life back with my leader. I think there's room. We have to see how it works out, but I would not be surprised if Cell was a tech in this game, because you can always just charge a little higher, charge to 8, activate Cell, go to 5, and then next turn get some more ramp in. You never know. I think there's room for it. Now, speaking of cards that allow you to go down, I do think that Big Bang Attack will probably be a better card than ever in this deck, because you should be able to get to 6 easily, and if you ever charge past 7, you can just activate Big Bang Attack, blow up something 5 cost or less, nuke the energy, and then just bam, you are back at 7 and your effects are live. So I do think that Big Bang Attack is a card that we'll have to look at in terms of its playability. Another card that we can look at is Instant Kamehameha, because you do have to sack an energy in order to use it, but I don't necessarily love Instant Kamehameha in a deck that can't draw on Leader Swing, because you might be in a situation where you start bleeding cards rapidly. So this is something to consider. I just want to make sure that it's feasible before I go all in on, yeah, this card belongs in the deck. And then the last card I'm going to get to right now is Gigantic Meteor. With your double striker being a 45k that only costs 3, you're going to have more energy than anybody thought was possible to put behind that shotgun. And so when your opponent gets to 2 versus this deck, it's probably nothing that can save them. There is very a likely chance that you're just going to play 3 energy for your double striker, attack, and put at least 2 Gigantic Meteors in the rest of your hand behind this bad boy. And that's really what we are looking at in terms of pushing power. So yeah, I used to think that this leader was just a little too flimsy. Like, you just run into too many chances of having your HP down at 2, and then you just getting clapped. And I still think that there is a fair amount of danger in that space. You're gonna end up a lot passing turn a lot of times to your turn or your opponent at 3 life, and then you're gonna have to just hopefully hope that they can't press you to 2 and then double strike you. Now, the thing I do think has changed since seeing all these cards now is how much pressure this deck will be able to put out. It honestly looks like you're going to be wailing on your opponent's advantage, their cards in hand, and just eventually putting them in a place where they can barely defend themselves, much less pressure you. And I hope that's what the deck is going to be, riding that fine line of damage and defense. But I do think that there are still some holes in this deck. I do think that getting down to 3 so quickly, you're going to definitely super shoot your hand. And every time you heal and then self-awaken is technically a draw. And that's what they're going for. Aggressively self-awakening through your healing, then healing right back up, turning your zeros into extra life, you know, all these things. So I'm kind of sitting here like, you know what? Let's test it. Let's test it. I'm super excited to see what this deck is going to shape out to be. We're at the point where we only are looking for one more SR, and that SR is going to be the 3-drop Goku from blue that they keep hyping up with like 8 different card effects. And so soon we'll have all the SRs and we can really start plotting about how to play these decks. We're going to be getting the rest of the set spoiled as time goes on, and I think that we are in for quite a format going into New Adventure and beyond. So yeah, stay tuned for more Dragon Ball Super Fusion World content. We've got some Gundam content coming over soon because I was able to buy a second beta box, and therefore we should be able to have some games happening in person, some top-down views, some commentary. It should be fun. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the content going on here. One more time, if you want to see some manga, anime, gaming content, go over to yeah, Universe X in the description. Check that out. I'll be streaming Kingdom Hearts tonight, so you know it's going to be a good time. Kingdom Hearts 2, actually. And I will see you in the next video. Later.